All right, Tekken 8 trailer just came out. Normally I watch this on stream, but it came out on a day I wasn't streaming and I can't help myself, so let's watch it. This looks like Jin has a different voice actor. This looks like the Tekken 5 stage. Precipice of Fate or something. 1, 2, 4. There's already a lot that's going on here that's really interesting. Yeah. Did Kazuya do some sort of backsway to avoid the electric? What was that? This is the armor move. Yeah, Jin definitely has a different voice actor. I wonder why. His pants are different too. Yeah, that was a trade. Yeah, the hit sounds are all different. It's really weird. Like, not in a bad way, but it's really weird. Round 2. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, that's cheesy as hell. Okay, so there's... Stay tuned. It's on Steam, PS5, and Xbox. There's a lot to go over. I did read an interview with Harada before watching this where he said this takes place during a point in the story and everything's rendered in game. And I believe it. It looks like the game. I can see, but it's so, a lot of the things here are so weird. I think the thing that's the most jarring about this are the hit sounds, right? This is also interesting. So like Kazuya's crouch dash 3 we know is plus, right? And you can see that there's the block effect, but Jin has this animation where he goes back, kind of like when you block something that's really, really plus, like Fakumram's back forward 4. But Kazuya's crouch dash 3 hasn't been like that before, which is interesting. This is also a weird stagger state as well. So he does the up forward 3 here, right? Crushes the low. There's a little bit of slow-mo in here. I'm assuming that's a story thing because otherwise that would get really annoying. But then he gets up, and when he wakes up, he's in this, like, it's almost like a double overstun state, right? Like, if you do counter hit back forward 2 of Jin and Devil Jin, you know that thing? And then it almost looks like he's forced to block by the time Kazuya runs in and does the crouch dash 3. And this, you know, the same thing happened here as well. The 1, 2, 4 had this weird block animation after it, see? Where he reels back and then there's a lot of pushback there. The pushback does look a lot more natural though, which is cool because you can, with the stumble. And then you have, okay, so the electric here, and then there's like this weird backsway. He's backdashing here, and the electric whiffs. There's another bit of slow-mo here as well. I happen to stop it right on the frame. Like, this would have hit normally. That must be a cinematic thing. It would be really weird if that whiffed. Like, because what it almost looks like to me, if anything, is invincibility during backdash, which would be really strange. That has to be a cinematic thing. Again, armor move here. And counter hit as well. You could see Kazuya going in for a hit. Again, I would be very surprised if all of these camera angles were actually in-game and they weren't part of the story thing. I get it. I get it. The glowing red eye means he's in rage. I see. I have no idea. So yeah, trade down forward 2, and then he gets full combo off of it. You got the crumple stun. Yeah, but this is interesting because there's constant slow motion, right? This is something that's happening all over the trailers. Whenever there are these big trades or counter hit moments, there's the zoom in slowdown, like at the end of the round in Tekken 7. I'm assuming, again, this is just a cinematic thing, and it's not actually in the game, because that would be extremely annoying. And the slowdown already in Tekken 7 at the end of the round can cause issues with hitboxes. It's very rare, but it does happen. So if that kind of thing is happening just all the time on counter hit and stuff, then that would be really terrible. But the combo is still the same, right? It's still the same. Like you got electric. You do this. You know what? This is a perfect electric, actually, thinking about it. That's interesting that Kazuya does a perfect electric here. Anyway, but we still have tailspin, so there's no bounce or anything like in Tekken 6. They're keeping the same as they have in 7. It is interesting also that he ends the combo so early, right? But there's not nearly as much wall carry, but that might just be because it's a shorter combo. It would be interesting here, because the first thing I thought is that this is how you transition into like round 2, round 3 and stuff, which would be really cool, having a more dynamic way to go in between rounds, but probably it's just, it's probably just something for the cinematic part. Let's go back a little bit as well, back to like the beginning of the gameplay. So this was super weird as well, this very wide camera angle. Fight. I guess that's how the round starts. Again, Harada did say it, this is specifically from something in the story, but if this is more how the intros go, like, let's just start from the beginning. Let's say that the introduction is like Soul Calibur, where it has some view of the stage and then they say something to each other. More dynamic round intros would be really cool. But if this wasn't just story and this is actually how the round starts, and which it might, it would be really cool. I can't tell if Kazuya's voice actor is different as well. But this is clearly star of the round. Yeah, Jin's voice actor is really getting on me. Because they also changed, here's the other thing that's really weirding me out as well. They changed Jin's, like, what do you call them? Like his voice lines in-game. It's something that you can see really apparently with Julia. I think she's a great example of this. A lot of the voice lines that characters use in game are recycled from Tekken 5, Tekken 4 way back. They've replaced Jin's, which might mean that for Tekken 8 they're going to replace all of them, which would be, I don't know how I feel about it, because on one hand I feel like it would be nice to, because there are some lines, especially with Jin, like one of Jin's round intros, just the audio quality, you can tell it's an old voice line. But at the same time, you have characters like Julia, where they've redesigned her in Tekken 7, and I hate her redesign. And I like that in game she has the old voice line she had from like Tekken 5 with her old voice actress. But I guess it doesn't matter because you can just mod them back anyway because it's on PC, so. Fight. Anyway, yeah, 1, 2, 4. Again, you can see this happening a lot as well. So like the 1, 2, the forward 3, it has a lot of pushback in that that God stun look. You know what, actually, looking at this a little bit more. Okay, so remember what I was saying before about like King's forward 1+2, moves like that, Fakenram's back forward 4, where there are like distinct animations if your opponent is super plus. But it's a very binary thing in Tekken. Like, are you +10? If you're +10, well, it's not even that, because King has that animation, but it's -10. But it's more about the amount of frames that there are total for recovery, not just if you're plus and minus. But generally speaking, it's like, are you +5, +6, +7, then that animation is probably going to play. Or if you're like -25 because your health sweep got blocked, then you get put in an animation. But it looks like more here, because you can see with like Kazuya's 1, 2, 4, right? Where the actual block animations that are happening, I mean, one, there's a more distinct like guard animation, but two, you can see when the 1, 2, 4 is blocked that there isn't that normal guard animation, but there's a little bit of like knockback, like pushback, but not pushback, but you know what I mean? Like the character gets repelled a little bit when they block the 1, 2, 4, whereas when this forward, 3 gets blocked, there's a lot more. So that might be something that they're doing to be able to let the player know if something is more plus or not, like have more animations for it so that there's a more distinct tell when you are playing. Whether that translates into anything that's punishable, though, I don't think they did anything in the trailer that was actually punishable that got blocked, so... But it's interesting nonetheless. Yeah, there's another thing with the counter hit as well. And then there's this camera angle change. And this is round start, actually. There was no cuts from here. So this whole, like, camera zoom when there's going to be a counter hit or there's an avoidance of something might actually be something in the game. And if it is, then that is really shit and they need to get rid of it. I don't need to explain why. I hope this is just a cinematic thing. Also, again, this is something I'm guessing that was like a counter hit sort of stun state that's new in Tekken 8. Don't really know what to say about it. It might be like the wall crush that's in Tekken 7 now. It's just on certain moves on counter hit, it does this where it leaves the opponent like +30 or something, but you can still guard. I don't know. But then again, like you see the crouch dash 3, it has this big animation where they get knocked back. Yeah, and then we're back here. So it's also interesting as well. Oh, wait, this might actually be a lethal hit kind of thing. See? But since this is zooming in and he does this thing and then this full thing becomes natural, this might be a lethal hit kind of thing that's going on here, like in Tekken or in Soul Calibur. Something interesting as well is that there has been absolutely no sidestepping. There's barely been any movement, actually, throughout this whole trailer. We only saw that one time where Kazuya backdashed and then it zoomed in on the electric missing, which is, again, is very weird. But there's no, like, Korean backdashing. There's no sidestepping. There's barely any movement that's actually going on. Yeah, so it's pretty clear that looking at this, that Devil Jin and Jin are going to be the same character now, which isn't surprising. This is how the end of Tekken 7 insinuated that Tekken 8 would go, and it just makes more sense for Devil Jin, especially now in the story, to be a part of Jin gameplay-wise, so... What actually happens here, though, remains to be seen. But he has, like, the, like with Devil Kazuya, the forward 2, he kind of had that. It's also kind of like Yoshimitsu's forward 2, where you can, if you hit the just frame, you can do it against an airborne opponent. This could also be a rage up, which I hope it's not. You know, it's probably a rage art. Looking at it again, it does look like he just hits the crouch dash 1 and then he goes straight into rage art, which is like, if they bring rage back, then I hope they revamp the system, but that's almost certainly what's happening there, which is annoying, but I just don't want him to be the same where it's like, oh, you're on low health, now all of a sudden you have an advantage over your opponent. Just a flat advantage that you don't even have to think about. You just throw it out. I don't know. But, you know, there's also no rage drive, which would be an improvement, but they need to revamp the entire system. Because even with just rage, I mean, look at Paul, you know? Look at, I mean, really any character. It's just, like, the system in general sucks. Because there's no management. It's not like you're getting a resource that you have to manage or you have to use carefully. You just use it. So even if it's just Rage Art by itself and there's no Rage Drive anymore, you still just hit a combo and then do Rage Art, and then you do more damage. You still have an advantage. It's not as good, but it's still giving you an advantage for losing with no consequence to using it whatsoever. No thought behind it. It's just like, oh, I hit a combo, I get more damage now. Which isn't very good, I feel. I don't think it's ever been good in Tekken. I mean, even just the passive damage buff, even if we're going back to Tekken 6 when it first came, is really shit still. And I don't know. I think that Rage can be a system that works. It just needs to be redone. So I'm not going to be a complete downer on it. But yeah, I don't know. That's it. At least it's coming to Steam as well. I'm still of the opinion it's going to come out next year. And I say this because if you look at Soul Calibur 6's announcement trailer, Soul Calibur 6 itself was announced a little less than 1 year before it came out. So that is right now where we're kind of at. We don't have much to really go on when it comes to Bandai Namco and announcement trailers, but this is just the announcement trailer, and it came out December 7th, 2017, and the game came out in October of 2018. Another thing to consider as well is that a lot of the time when people talk about Tekken 7, right, and its release, something that people I hear saying, and the reason why people are saying it's not going to come out, is because Tekken 7 was released on consoles in June of 2017. And people are looking at this date and saying there's just not enough time for Tekken 8 to come out in June. And I agree with that. However, if you look back at Tekken historically as a franchise, when the games have come out, Tekken 6 actually came out on consoles in October to November. Tekken Tag 2 came out on consoles worldwide in September. And even as back as Tekken 5, it came out in arcades in November, December, and on console at the beginning of 2015, the very beginning. So historically, Tekken has actually come out around Q4, maybe butting in on Q1 of the year. Tekken 7 is actually an outlier for the Tekken series historically for when it gets released. So it's not necessarily set in stone that Tekken 8 has to come out in June. On top of that, we do have precedent from Soul Calibur 6 that they are willing to release a game that hasn't ever been in arcades and just release it on consoles in October, because that's how Soul Calibur 6 came out. So the June release date is actually an outlier. And if we're going based on historical precedent, and if we're looking at Soul Calibur's release as well, between its announcement and when it came out, it's very likely that Tekken 8 is going to come out sometime towards the end of next year, sometime in maybe like sometime between probably August and December of next year. It really depends on how far along that they are, but looking back, that's where I think it's going to come out. So I'm hoping that there's going to be a lot more to look at in the coming months. But yeah, first impressions overall are, I'm not sure yet how to feel. I don't have anything bad to say. It just is weird. There are a lot of weird, interesting things that need to be shown more in depth. The main thing I'm worried about, of course, is movement. I really want them to buff the movement back to where it was before Tekken 7. I just find that more fun. That's why, well, not 100% why, but one of the reasons I play characters like Zafina and Elisa. I like having that freedom of movement more that was present in the other games before 7, and they didn't show anything with movement whatsoever. I'm concerned about the constant camera angles and camera zoom. And before you say, oh, that's just something that they're doing for the trailer, that's not going to be in the game. Remember Guilty Gear Strive. Don't forget that game. And I'm going to voice my opinion about it because I think that stuff like this constantly happening throughout a round is quite shit. And I really hope that this is just a trailer thing. But if this is something that's in the game, they need to take it out. But looking at that, that's it. What are the positives here? I mean, the game, of course, looks good. It's in Unreal 5, so of course it does. This is probably on PS5 as well. In fact, I think I remember reading the interview that Harada said this on PS5, so it might look better on PC, which will be really cool. I like the aesthetic here with the stage. Again, it reminds me of Tekken 5, where you fight Jinpachi. It looks nice. The particles, though, like the flashing lights and stuff, it looks great for a trailer. It better not be in the game. I don't think I need to explain why. Because all of this flashy like this in the background with the lightning and the waves and stuff, that can't be in the base game. I don't need to explain it. It's way too distracting. Even in this trailer alone, it's hard to see some things that are going on with like hit spots like there. When you're actually playing the game, seeing that hit spot and that hit and having to hit or block confirm something in that situation is borderline impossible. So that needs to change. And I hope it's just for a cinematic thing, but I think mainly what I'm trying to say is that I need to see actual gameplay, because I understand that this is actual gameplay and it's all rendered in real time in engine, and this is what the game looks like, but I don't want it to be what the game looks like, you know, because there's way too much that's distracting, and the game stops too much, and there's too much of the zoom in, and I need to see an actual game played, even if it's by some journalists that don't know what they're doing. It would be better than this, but at least it's something gameplay. It's also confusing to me thinking about it why this wasn't at Evo. Whatever, that doesn't matter. But yeah, that's pretty much what I think about it. No real opinion. Oh yeah, music as well. It sounds better than Tekken 7. Not that that's a very high bar, but still. I'm cautiously looking forward to see what happens next. There's nothing in here yet that makes me grossly offended. That's really the best thing I can say about this right now. There's nothing here to me that looks particularly bad, but at the same time, there's a lot that I still need to see before I'm 100% on board with it. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.